I'm Lori Spielman, the first selectman for the town of Ellington, and I want to welcome you to our April show. And I'm really thrilled. This is going to be our third annual Earth Day, and I started Earth Day 3 or 4 years ago. We didn't have it last year because of the pandemic, but we're back, and we have over 70 vendors coming for this Saturday, which is April 23rd. And the time is 10 o'clock. It's going to start to 2. And we're going to have it at the Ellington Green, right across the street from the Congregational Church. And also the Nellie McKnight Museum will be open. And they are going to start their kickoff for their art exhibit that they've been working so hard on. What the photo exhibit is all about, they've spent an awful lot of time researching of older houses in town and also older businesses. So it's very interesting. They have the old original pictures and what it looks like today, so people can see what things used to look like years ago. They did a fantastic job. And about Earth Day is we've got a lot of Ellington departments that are going to be there. Our Fire Marshal's office, my first selectman's office is going to be there. We also have cards made up, they're cue cards, that people can sign up for their email address for alerts and things like that. And with that, we have the Boy Scouts. They are collecting cans, and that's going to be over at the Congregational Church. With the Boy Scouts collecting cans, we're also having a drop-off for a shredded truck, and it's 2 boxes per family. That is going to be also at the Congregational parking lot, so people can drive in, drop off your boxes, and keep going if they want to just drop in and go. Also, we have the shredded truck, we have bottle return, and the library at 12 o'clock, we have a tree planting. And that is going to be Mountain Tree from Summers is going to be planting a nice tree on the green. And with that, at Hall Memorial Library, they're having a used book sale. So we've got a lot going on at the center, and it's going to be a great day. So I encourage people to come out. And even if you have smaller children, we have a whole separate thing by the Nellie McKnight Museum, set up 3 different events for children of all ages. So they're going to learn how to recycle. There's going to be booths there that the children can plant seeds. And also, I want to introduce Linda Anderson. She's on the Trails Committee. You're going to have something at Earth Day too, right?
Yeah, we have our booth, and we're going to be on the side of the Connecticut Landmark Association, so Land Trust, I'm sorry. And so we're going to be together. So we'll be talking to people about trails.
And with trails, you've been doing an awful lot. You can tell me what's been going on with the trails. When I first started, we really had no trails in town.
None.
I've worked on so many different, with my landscape company, different towns. They all had a lot of trails. Hebron, Colchester, they had a lot of great trails. And I always came back to Ellington, we had nothing. So now, with all the hard work of the Trails Committee, we have trails and bridges, and it's nice.
Yeah. So the Trails Committee started in 2017, and we've been really active. I'm actually very pleased with our present and our former members have done a ton of work. This is our logo, and we basically start our year. We have our goals and our projects, and we set them for the year. And it's broken up into 4 different goals. So our first goal is always been, our first projects is always been maintenance. So we basically rake the trails. We do any work that needs to be done on bridges. We had a bridge that washed out this past year with all the heavy rain. So we do bridge repairs. We also take care of cutting back the trails, cutting out invasives. We put up basically signs that define where the trail ends, boundary signs, no motor vehicle signs, no hunting. We do all the basic maintenance. That's our first thing that we do.
So you have quite a few kiosks at every trail, which
Yep.
is really nice, and a lot of it, some of it's been done by the Boy Scouts.
Yeah, we do get a lot of volunteerism with the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts and a few other groups in town. And I'll mention them a little bit farther down the line. We've had a lot of help with this past few years with COVID. Actually, COVID has been a bonus for us because people didn't have anything to do, and so we had a lot of people that stepped up. Our next item that we deal with is planning planning new trails. Planning and development is what we call it. Right now we have 2 new projects, 2 new town land areas that we are going to be working on putting in new trails. So that announcement will probably come at the end of the year when we open up those. So we're pretty active in that sense. We go to the board meetings, we get all the approvals from the selectmen, and then we move forward. And we're moving forward, like I said, on 2 properties.
And with one of those, the Recreation Department is interesting in starting off probably with 9 holes of disc golf.
That's a possibility.
Yeah, so that's also just to get people out. And I want things that people can do that they don't have to spend any money, but they can get outside.
Yeah.
You know, whatever you do, you go to the mall, you go to the movies, you keep spending money, and if you have a family of 4 children or 3 children, it gets expensive. But if you could bring them out and do a little disc golf or walk the trails, learn about nature, the Bats property, you've done so much there. Can you explain about the Bats property? And the Bats property is located on Mountain Street in Ellington.
Nope, it's actually on Snipsit Road.
But you go up Mountain Street.
You go up Mountain Street, yeah.
And it turns into Snipsit.
It turns into Snipsit,
Yep.
yeah. And the Bats property has been our baby, especially since with COVID. I'll basically walk through it. It was given to us by the Bats family for educational purposes. On the property, it is very special. It has fields. It has forest. It has a brook that runs through it, the Turkey Brook, and also some great woods, which have trails. So when we took it over, there was the community garden, which is wonderful, and people can sign up at this time of year with the rec department to get their plot of land. There was a kiosk there that was done by an Eagle Scout. There's also a pavilion that was done by the Eagle Scouts. And then there was a children's garden that was extremely weedy. It was just let go. I would say the weeds were up to our knees. And we tore that all out and put in a sensory path for kids. And we also put
Now explain that a little bit.
Okay, so the sensory path is they take their shoes off and they walk down the path, and there's squares, and each square is a different feel. So they go over rubber pipes, they go into sand, they go into a cushion, they go into stones. So it's a sensory, basically they can feel all the different textures. We also put in a sensory garden where you can taste, feel, or touch, smell, and these are all plants that fall into that range. So that was the first thing that we did at Bats. There's also fruit trees at Bats right now. And then we got the Girl Scouts involved. They put in, they redid the fire pit in the backfield, which I think a lot of people don't realize, but the Bats property, you can camp on the Bats property. The Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts have camped there in the past. The Boy Scouts also helped us with the outhouse that's there. It needed some work inside and out with the doors. So Troop 96 helped us with that. And I want to say Troop 96 also helped us last year with cutting back on evasives. They did a whole lot of work on that. We had piles of stuff that they cut out. And then our biggest project was we put in an amphitheater. The opening night players, Ellington opening night players, a theater group in town, reached out to us and said, hey, with COVID, we need some place to do some activities outside. So they came and they built our stage, and these kids were amazing. They came in, they brought, we provided the wood, they just put it all together.
Wow.
And then at the same time, we had an Eagle Scout, Aiden Stratodakis, who reached out to us and said, I would like to put in the benches. I would like to make them. So for his Eagle Scout project, he designed, funded, and built and installed 18 benches.
Boy, that's amazing.
Yeah. So Bats is become a really special place. I've been thrilled with the, and then we also put in, this is really important too, is that we put a platform that went into the frog pond, because there's a frog pond there. And so you can sit on it and observe what's happening in the pond. We have had some herons in the pond, but the platform has been used for people to go ice skating on the pond. We've had people that have gone there to do paintings, just neighbors walking by that stop by and just sit there. So that was a really great addition. And the Bats property has a fair amount of wildlife. The Turkey Brook that goes through there was definitely named appropriately because we have turkeys. There's a coyote that lives in Bats because a lot of the neighbors have seen it. There's been bear that go through, herons. We have a nesting pair of red-tailed hawks, and we have bluebirds. So there's a lot of wildlife in that area.
So let's name the trails. You have one off of Hopkins Road.
Yeah, that's Kimball. And I want to mention on Kimball, Kimball was just raw woods. There was no existing trails on it. We put the trails on there. It's about a mile. You can hook into the Blue Trail that goes up to the Summers Tower from there. We've put in 4 bridges because the Kimball Brook goes through it. And 2 of those bridges, which we again were very happy with, we've got a great community that volunteers. Big Y reached out to us and said, hey, we'd like to do something. And they came in one morning and built 2 bridges for us.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's a great community.
Yeah.
It's nice that businesses step in and help.
And Kimball, again, you'll see we've had turkeys, deer, bears. It's more woodsy. It definitely is more on the woodsy side, but the brook is absolutely gorgeous. And we've also put in a couple of viewing benches. And unfortunately, our first trail that we dealt with when we first started was Metcalf. And as you know, we had to close it because of all of the dead trees in the area. We have an excessive amount of dead trees, and to protect the public, we had to close it down. Lori is working on possibly getting those trees cut down for us, and so we can reopen it again for the neighborhood. But at this point, I would ask that nobody use the Metcalf, because it really is very dangerous in there. And then the last trail is Windermere, or the Hockanum River Association does handle that trail, but in the last year we've kind of are coordinating with them. And that's, again, an absolutely gorgeous trail.
And then there's one behind the Golden Diamond Exchange. by the mosque. You
Yeah,
can go
that's
in.
the West Road, which is, again, that just...
That's a nice, beautiful trail. It goes right along the river. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is, and you can hook up into the Windermere. And then if you do that, I mean, you can go from, if you park off of Penny Street, you could go all the way into Vernon by walking the Hockanum River Trail, which is about 8 miles round
That's
trip,
great.
which is a very nice
And
trail.
that brings you out to that big swing bridge.
Yes, brings you out to the swing, and then beyond that, almost into where the old Vernon Circle used to be. It goes that far. But the Windermere is really special in the sense that there's a lot of wildlife at Windermere. There is definitely bobcat families over there. Every year we have sightings of babies and mama. There's an eagle nest. I've seen muskrat, deer. So there is a lot of activity over there on Windermere.
So also with that, the Trails Committee has been busy working on identification of areas. So if people get hurt, they can say, I am at marker number 7. And so we've been working with getting the trails labeled so people are safe on it.
Yep.
On the other side, I've been working with this company called TN, and they're the 911 dispatch. They're out of Tolland. And we are making up an overlay on the trails of where these markers are. And so everybody is coordinated, everybody has
Yeah,
on the same page.
Tom Powell Shaw, who's with the Hockanum River Association, is the one that has been working on this. Now, if you go on the trails, you will see these markers. An example would be on the Windermere Trail. It would say H, or it actually would be for the well, it would say H3, H2, H1. And so if you do get hurt, you make your way to one of these markers, you call 911, the emergency services in Tolland would know exactly where you are, would know exactly where the emergency services have to come in, because some of these trails have multiple access points. So they would know exactly what access point would be the quickest to get to you. So he made up a great system, and we're really pleased with this because all our trails will have these markings. And actually, the Connecticut Land Trust has put one on, has put markers on the Boulder, the Boothride Trail system also. So they're using it also.
I asked the 911 dispatch how many other towns have done this. They said Tolland has very few, Vernon has very few. But what else worries me is, and I'm going to call the state, Soapstone. I got to get them to label some of theirs just for emergency purposes.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that some of the other towns haven't thought of doing this, especially Soapstone, because I mean, not too long ago they had that woman that was lost up there, and it was difficult to find her.
We had a couple one night from Florida. It got dark and they went in from the tower, but they ended up on Porter Road.
Oh, wow.
So they were really lost.
Yeah.
But they said they came in by Porter, so we figured out what direction they were going in. Mm-hmm. But it would be nice if they had markers. Oh, their phones went dead too.
And their phones went dead.
Yeah, and it was getting cold, so.
Yeah.
But
So, and then the other things I just wanted to mention is that besides doing the cleaning and working on the trails and all of that, and the new development, we also, one of our major goals is basically education. We are really into nature education for the public. We offer a number of talks. This year we have a bird walk coming up on April 30th, rain date May 1st. That's going to be over at Bats at 7:30 in the morning. I know 7:30 is early, but you got to get up with the birds.
don't you have astronomer coming? Or?
Yeah, we have the Astronomy Club, Connecticut Club, and they're going to be coming the first week in August. Let's see, I just wrote that down. They're going to be coming on August 2nd with a rain date of August 3rd. We also have, with the library, we're co-hosting another bird walk. That's going to be with Jane Seymour, who's a biologist with the Belding property over in Vernon, and that's going to be on the 23rd of June. We also have been doing a lot of co-sharing with the senior center and also the library.
Yes, the senior center has a group that goes out for trails and
For trails,
things
yeah.
like that.
They do the hiking, but we've been co-sharing with Ginny Apple. She is a DEP master conservationist. She works with the DEP on tagging all of the, tagging a lot of animals that whatever they're doing a study on, mostly bobcats. But she's done a number of talks, and if we plan on bringing her back, so if you ever see one that we advertise, you definitely want to go, because she's a wonderful talker. She's got great pictures. She just did one last week for the kids called "Things That Go Bump in the Night," and the kids loved it. So,
wow.
and then on top of it, it's our public awareness is another thing that we are actively involved with. The Earth Day that you mentioned is one of our public awareness things coming here.
Explain a little bit about the astronomy. Last time you had one, it was on Penny Street, and it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But explain so people get
an idea what it
Yeah.
is? Yeah, okay. Last time we had 70 people that showed up. They set up their telescopes, and these are not just your little
they're huge.
yeah, they're huge telescopes. We saw the rings of Saturn, and we saw a number of stars and moons. They set them up. They welcome the public to bring their own telescopes. They work with any kids that aren't sure how to use their telescopes. They work with them. And we're going to be co-sharing that with the library, because the library is setting up kits where you will be able to take out of the library a kit that will have star charts, and it will also have a telescope, which the Astronomy Society of Connecticut has bought for the library.
wow.
And this is going to be a top-notch telescope that you'll be able to take out. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun. And it started, we had to start it, at dusk or close to evening. And I think people were there until 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, it was a beautiful night.
Yeah,
and
it was.
was just so interesting because every telescope was set up on
Something different, yeah.
So you can actually go around and look at different things, and people can explain it to you, and it was really a beautiful time.
Yeah, it was really, and hopefully, the weather will cooperate. And this time it won't be, there won't be moonlight, so we'll be able to see even more of the stars. And like I said, these people are extremely knowledgeable.
So I'd like to make a trail from the back of the senior center, going around and coming outside of the Public Works building, so people can make a nice loop.
That would be a real nice loop.
And I'm going to do that before too long.
Okay, well,
So-
we'll work with you on that one.
Good.
Definitely.
I'll do all the rough work. You guys can finish it off.
Yeah, we'll finish it off.
So with the trails, there's a lot of things that go along with it. This year, our Park and Rec offered rental of snowshoes. And I think next year they're going to do snowshoes and maybe cross-country skis. But
Yep.
also, right in Vernon, we have a great place that also rents. So people feel free during the winter if you want to get out and do a little cross-country skiing. If you don't want to buy them, please rent them.
Yep.
A lot of people don't have room to store skis or snowshoes. Rent them, see how you like it.
Yep.
But it's so beautiful to go out. And we're working on a Stein Road project that one of my visions is way down in the beginning of the fields is a beautiful spot for people to do paintings and everything. It's a artist's dream right there.
Yeah, right there.
The view is just the whole valley of Ellington. It is gorgeous.
Well, we would, again, going back to the winter type of thing, if we can get, knock on wood, if we can get Public Works to plow bats, it would be a perfect spot for for cross-country skiing and snowshoeing. But we would like to do a winter event. We've been planning it for the last couple of years. Unfortunately, we haven't had any snow when we wanted to plan it. But the backfield is actually wonderful for sledding. So we would love to be able to do that. So we'll see what happens down the line.
I think the biggest thing is you never know what winter is going to bring us, but if we're all prepared for it and we do get a big snow and everything,
Right.
open it up and we're ready to go.
Yep.
And I think it's one thing that I want to say is the Beautification Committee is looking for extra hands if anybody is interested. I am looking for one person to water the Rotary. We had Joe Palabizio, who worked for us at Town Hall, has moved on and moved away, of course. He used to water it with 5-gallon jugs and put a little Miracle-Gro in. He'd just water 2 or 3 times a week. So if anybody's interested, please let us know at Town Hall if you would like to do this for us. Otherwise, I'm not going to put them out this year. We had 6 large, shallow saucers that we plant up. But we take care of Town Hall, we take care of the senior center, the library, the animal control, different buildings, human service. But to do that, I'd be going all day Sunday, so I just
Yep.
don't have time. But I'm looking, if somebody that you know would like a little something to do, I'd be happy to put those back out. But I have to know pretty soon.
I want to mention one other thing too is Connecticut Trails Day is coming up. That's the first Saturday of June, and it runs on June 4th and 5th this year. And in the past, Connecticut has had, happens in all 50 states, Connecticut has had the most participation of any state in the union, which is absolutely amazing for our state. So we are sponsoring a talk walk on June 4th at 10 o'clock over at Kimball. But if you go to the Connecticut Forest Association's site, you can start signing up for hikes. There are, gosh, I want to say they probably list at least 50 hikes that you can do on June 4th or 5th in the state. And I think their sign up is going to be starting around the first week of May. So we would love to see everybody. Again, Kimball has not much for parking, so we would ask that people carpool. But again, we would love to see people over there and do the hike with us. But definitely participate in the Connecticut Trails Day because it's a great thing for the state.
That's great. Just one other thing I want to say. Channel 3, I don't know if you're aware, is doing their top 10 town by town. Do you know what number 1 is?
No.
Ellington.
Oh, yay!
So they're going to be out in Ellington filming, and happy to say that
Maybe we can get them on our trails.
Yeah. And I want to thank everybody for joining in, and stay healthy and safe.